My dad told me, whatever happens in the community, you're going to carry it. And you'll be the one to carry it. So even if it's not your doing, you're going to be the one to carry it because you're the leader and you stand there for the people. So if something not good happens, that's you too. I want you to know that, that's what he told me. I thought about it, and I listened to my dad and I heard him, what he said. And so it was a real serious statement that he gave me. It wasn't just about wearing a headdress or being a chief. It was a real responsibility that if I'm going to take this step, be prepared to stand there for the people. It was a nice moment for me. And so I really appreciated all of that at the beginning because, like I said, it's tough. A person can't do this alone. And the people who stood with me, and many of them are still with me today, stand with me. I appreciate that still today, that first moment. When I first became chief, I keep hearing the echoes of my dad in the background. And so I would listen to that. You're just standing there for them. Your job is to speak on their behalf. Your opinion is not as important as the people's opinion. We come there with knowledge, with some tools and so on to utilize as a leader. But the core of it is we always try to find a way to listen to the people and then try to echo what they need, where they're at, what is it that we have to do to step forward. And coming into this role, I remember that. And the other thing is the foundational piece for me is I'm a student of my dad in ceremony. And everything that I watched him and what he taught me and what I had the privilege to learn from him, plus other teachers too, he was my main teacher. So in that, I knew what I needed to do in that role. If you're in that leadership role, you have to show up. There's going to be days, he reminded me that, you're not going to want to show up. There's going to be days where the grief is heavy. There's going to be days where there's so much going on, or even my ego is being, just really happy and wants to take all the credit. There's going to be all of those days, but you have to remember is that you're there for the people. The beginning was a lot of learning curve, and I was in council before, and I've done some leadership roles in the past, but to be a chief, it's really different. Everything comes to you. All the pressure comes to you. All the tough days come to you. And everything that's good's happening, they want you to be there to celebrate. And there's only one of me, but they expect me to be in everything. I reached out to the chiefs and they came to support me in that grand entry. And so that first grand entry, I came in with the chiefs. And it was really important that we did that because we needed to unite the community. And we wanted to bring the people together, and I wanted to see that. But my intent was to show unity to everyone. So as a chief, you can't only pick one side, pick that side or this side. You have to listen to all the people, and their collective brings you forward on what the vision and the path should be. So when I had an opportunity to be in the chief role, one of the things in the back of my mind was, how are we going to build our own revenues? How do we build our own path of independence, of creating our own wealth? So that's always been a mission of mine in the background, and that's one really important one. The other important thing is to be present in everything that happens in a community. And I've done my best to be there, in the tough times, in the celebration times, even in the quiet times, just to show up and be there with the people. So those were two important goals for me, is to do that. In 2013, so I had a few briefings. One of the first one was the casino and the position the casino was in. But I also looked at the entire finances. And the way the finances were set up back then is we were in debt. Like we're really in debt, over 100 million in debt. And that includes the casino and everything else that we had in the nation. And there was actually no revenue coming in. So we had some impact benefit agreements, maybe a little bit here and there, whatever it might be, but we really didn't have nothing. And it took a couple years to get us from that place to to back to zero. And I remember that was one of the goals that I had, is we had to be at least $1 better from last year. So I worked with our teams, I worked with our government, I worked with our, with even our accountant. I said, how are we going to achieve this? And so we made those steps in that. And so the next year I said again, we want to get better. And so first opportunity I had, I brought it to the community. I didn't want people to think that, this is something that I created. It was something I inherited, but I didn't run from it. And I looked after it, and we worked with our team. We had a good team, our board and our legal team, and we worked with the debt financer, and we worked very hard to get it to a place that it's, function. And as a matter of fact, the entire business in itself, the initial business changed to what we have today. There was revenues that came from the charitable side, but on the business side, it's creating some revenue now. It's finally making some money for our people. When I first got in again, we had this company that was introduced to Alexis. It wasn't owned by Alexis yet, but when I looked at the terms, the agreement, what it looked like, I wasn't too happy about it. So I reached out to some people in business with a strong business acumen, and I asked them, take a look at this agreement, tell me what you think. We need to analyze what is going on here for the people. So I shared that in a couple spots. And the information I received back was, Chief, you got to redo this. This is not right for Alexis. And then another person came in and said, yeah, you got to revisit this thing. This doesn't seem proper for the community. In the first year, we did the $6 million in revenue in this joint venture. And then, so right away, the owner said, I'm in. I want to partner with you. We have this plan to eventually buy out his shares. And the goal was to purchase this company, and had some board development, structured it in a way to create a long-term plan for the business. And so the first year we were in business, we did $7 million. So in the joint venture, we did $6 million. The first year we did $7 million. I want to share that before this company was a tree planting company and did some work. And I was told it did about $1 million a year before that. So doing $6 million right off the bat, he was interested in working with us longer. Right off the bat, we did 7. The next year we were up to already, in double digits. We're like $16, $18 million in revenue. And then the year after that, we're already in the 30s, and then we went into the 70s and we're over 100. So the company grew very fast. And that was really good for us, because in my mind, I always thought, we got to make money, as much money as the government gives. If we can reach a goal like that, we can double it. If we can triple it, quadruple it, we're really financially independent. And that's where we should be as a people in this nation, because we have so much here. And in and around our traditional territory, the business opportunities, the networks, the opportunity that the chief's seat provides as well in the council. And I always thought we would be very wealthy in that way. And this seemed like the path. This has got to be the way we're going to do this. So we put a lot of effort into Backwoods, and it was going very well. And as a matter of fact, we bought out the original owner in the shorter time frame. We bought him out, we brought another partner in, and then now, where we own 51%, now we own 70%. And then in a couple years after that, at the peak of Backwoods, we did over $250 million a year in revenue. I'm saying at the peak of it, that's where it was, and this is the path that we need to go. Today, Backwoods, we had some big projects that kept us very high. And because things slowed down a little bit, our revenues dropped, and we had to restructure again. We had to reposition. And so here we are, and we're stable now, and we're starting to move Backwoods up on that path, that trajectory again. Thomas Potts, he had this vision to build a truck stop on a highway. So Highway 43 runs right through our reserve. And he always thought we should put a truck stop there. For a long time, that was a conversation that, people would always say, oh, he wanted to put a truck stop there. He wanted to put a truck stop there. And, Brother Thomas passed on. But his family would always say that. And it was just, I had the opportunity to work with our council, and our council did some great work in that. And we worked with designating the land, and then we eventually put a Petro-Canada on there. It's open 24/7, and it's doing very well. As a matter of fact, the fuel in itself, the fuel sales, it's about $1 million a month of that site. So it's been successful. What Thomas said would be successful, we see it firsthand. It's doing very well.
Our people entered into treaty in 1877 under the leadership of Chief Ahanaji. That moment was not just a signing, it was a commitment tied to our land, our identity, and our future. Since that time, our people have continued to defend our story and our land. Treaty is about land. It's about our place, our responsibility, and our relationship to it. As chief, one of my priorities is to ensure we remember our stories and protect them. Our treaties are sacred. They guide how we move forward. We are keeping our treaty alive. We do that by teaching it in our schools, by speaking about it openly, and using our language. Our teachings and our songs live in our language. When we speak it, we carry our treaty forward.
I remember way back, there was always this conversation of agriculture benefits. We finally filed in 2017, and then it was ratified a couple years later, and then we went into negotiations. And that settlement was finally settled for Alexis. And we had meetings in Edmonton and in Whitecourt, Calgary. We were trying to capture all of our members, and then we tried to go on Zoom. It was very technical because there was, we're in the middle of a claim on one hand, and we're also in the middle of court because we also brought them to court at the same time. So we're running these two processes to try to settle this for the people. And as we were going along, we asked the people, we can do 3 paths. One is an accelerated path. Another one is to continue in this court process. And the other one it's kind of the long way around, but it would give us a true value of what that is. And because of some of the elders were passing and some people were passing, the people, majority said, we want this accelerated path. So council, myself, we went through that process to visit the members, to gauge, to poll the people, and the majority said, this is the path we want to go on. We want to accelerate this path. And so we did that, and we finally settled the claim. December 2024, we made a payment to all the members in Alexis. And the settlement that we received was over $130 million. And of that, we put all the money away for the children, the under 18. We put all theirs away till they turn 18. And then we also created a legacy fund. And that fund, you can't touch it for 20 years. So we hope that's going to compound a couple times before it actually matures in 20 years. And that's the goal. So some of those pieces are there. So that was the agriculture benefits. That's one of the things that we have that's going to bring some revenue to the future. It also helped fulfill a treaty promise, a treaty neglect that happened in regards to agriculture benefits. It wasn't done in a meaningful way. From that, we created a trust. We still have our traditional land entitlement trust from 1995. So now we have these 2 trusts, but we also have impact benefit agreements and negotiations that we have done. There's going to be millions of dollars for decades that are coming to Alexis. So when people ask, when you're in leadership, what have you done? I know those revenue pieces, they'll be here long, long after me. For decades, there will be revenues that are coming to the nation. Now, from that, we're also looking at annuities, and so we're just doing that today. So we have an annuities claim right now, and we're starting to position to communicate with Canada and right of the Crown as well. So that's the second thing that's happening, and that's in the process today. In infrastructure, community investment, we always have to think forward, and we always need to build, and it needs to be tangible. Something you can see, something you can touch. And so one goal that we had was there was a massive shortage on housing in Alexis and probably most First Nation communities. I would share this with people, what if we could build 100 homes? It seemed out of reach, how do you do that? And I know that we could build, we get maybe up to 5 houses a year with, through programs of subsidy programs from the government. So we said, what if we can leverage, if we could leverage 10 houses a year and we built 100 today, that would save us money in the long run. So yes, we might be a little bit of debt today, but in the long run, it would save us money, because a house you build today and you build another house 10 years, that house is going to be more expensive. So it's like economies of scale. We wanted to put them all together. So we tried the first one, and the first project we did was 31 units. So we built 31 houses in Alexis. And then we added other homes to that too, like a sixplex and just renovations and houses like that. In this last couple of years, we did 72 houses. And so when you add all of that up, that's 100 that I thought we could build. But we've gone beyond that. So we built right now about 150 houses since I've been chief. So it's been pretty exciting in terms of building houses. It's a really important goal. We're still not there. We're still a long ways from getting everybody into a home, but we're bringing a lot of people back. That as well has increased a lot of the programs in the community as well. For example, all that housing has increased the amount of people that go to our school. So we used to get about 100, 150 kids in the school. Now we're bringing in about 300 students this past year. So that growth is going well. So we also started to look at our school. The school was old, the one we had. And it's still operational. As a matter of fact, it was only supposed to be elementary. We had up to grade 12 in there, so everyone's crammed in. So we started working on building a school. So we had some revenue, and I worked with the RDG, the Regional Director General of in Edmonton for Indigenous Service Canada, who was Indian Affairs at the time. And I would visit with them, on a monthly basis, have a coffee chat. And one of those chats, I said, we need a school. We need a school. And so he worked hard to help us get to a school. And I said, maybe a school is this amount of money. But what he did was even more than that. He actually pushed it that we got a better school. So we worked with Alexis and Indigenous Service Canada. We built the school, and we named it after our first chief, Ahanaji. And now that's the junior and senior high, and the elementary has their own school. So the future looks bright for the kids because there's opportunities. Of course, we still have a struggle. We all have to go through that. But as we see the success, at grade 12, we'd have 10 or under. And then post-secondary, we might get 4 and under. But now what we see is we have 25 kids, and it's going to be 20 to 25 graduating high school. And then now all of them want to go into post-secondary or trade school. We see that success. What we're doing is we're investing in that to become that goal of making peace with the academic institution and to improve our numeracy, literacy, and our social skill in those schools. And then from there, we think that they will become these masters of institution.
As chief, I've had the opportunity to represent our people beyond our nation on an international level. I brought a delegation to Rome to meet with Pope Francis. That visit was in the spirit of reconciliation. It was about bringing forward the truth of what happened to our people. Later, we welcomed him here on our land during the Lac St. Anne pilgrimage. On our land, he offered an apology for the harm done to our people. That moment mattered. With that work, some can begin their healing. That path looks different for each person, but is something that has now been opened. As leaders, we carry those moments with responsibility. We ensure they are not forgotten and that they continue to move our people forward.
One thing I remember was elders would say, the chief used to go visit all the people in the community. That's a full-time responsibility, just to go visit the people. But I knew it was important. I wasn't dismissing that. So what I did is I created some of the elders I consulted with called a PR Day, Public Relations Day. So I would spend every last Monday of the month at the hall. And at the beginning, it was just me sitting at the hall from morning to afternoon. But not a lot of people showed up in the morning. So I incorporated a staff meeting in the morning. So from 9 to 10, bring all the staff there. We talk about some of the issues. some of the current events that are happening in the community, some of the updates that needed to happen for staff, I would do that there, maybe policy development, or we'd bring in a facilitator to come and do some capacity building for our staff. And then the whole purpose of that was to sit at the hall, and then people would come. They would come and visit. Elders would come, young people would come, and they would sit there, and I would take time to visit with them and hear the concerns, or sometimes they just came to say hello. I remember a few times people came frustrated or upset, or and they would let me know, what they were frustrated about. And I had an opportunity to hear the voice of the people. So the PR Day was a really important way of communicating and visiting with the members. But the thing was, people knew it was there, and people appreciated that. Being in leadership, according to our regulations, you got to meet 4 times a year. You got to report to the people 4 times a year. So we reported our finances, our operations, and some of the goals that we had. And we made sure that that was happening. Every quarter we would have a report. And then today we evolved from the beginning to where we're at today, where we have a formal report that we put online, and basically the whole world can see that, what we are doing and what we've been doing. And that's never happened before. That was something that my governments have made a norm today. My peaceful place is to be where my dad taught me, to remember those stories, to remember my mom's love and her care, and to try to put that together so that I can stand for the people in a good way. So you don't always have to be a chief to be a leader. You can be a leader in other ways too. So now we have leaders not only as a chief and council leader, we have leaders in academics, we have leaders in governance, we have leaders in medicine, we have leaders in science, we have leaders in education, and we're really growing to that. So our community is really on a beautiful trajectory. I hope to be remembered as a good helper. I think of myself as a good helper all the time. In my language, Tagushkabi is a young warrior or helper, right? So I hope to be seen as that still. So wherever I go, I always think I'm just a helper. So even if I'm a chief, I'm a helper, and I think of it in that way. And then what I hope to leave behind is some good tools, as well as a good runway with the revenues that are coming in. So the next generation that's taken over, that's going to take on these roles, will have some space to make a little bit of mistake, whatever it might be, but to catch the momentum and to grow. And I hope that, like I did, they reach out to the elders, to the former leaders, and to work with them and ask for that guidance. Of course, I want to recognize my wife, Stephanie. She's been with me through this entire time as chief and even my life. Like we've been, this year we're going to be 30 years married. And so we've come through a lot, we've done a lot. And I think about her now. And I'm thinking about my children. I have a grandson. He carries Chief Aghanaji's name, so I think about him too. But I also remember everybody who stood with me from the beginning to now. I remember all of them, and I think about all of them, and I thank them. There's so many, and a lot of the elders and the ones who passed on too. I remember them all, and I could see them. When I think about how I got here, it was never on my own. It was never on my own. It's always the people that put me here. For over a decade, I've given this role my full self, with no breaks, no holidays, and always showing up. I walk through fire and ceremony, guided by prayers of those who've gone before me. Today I'm being called in a different way, not by politics, but by my family and by my spirit. I've missed moments, lost loved ones, and carried the weight of leadership in silence. Now, I need time to restore, to sit with my wife, my children, my grandchildren, and simply be present. This is not the end of my work for the people. It's just a shift in where I give my energy. Ishnish for walking with me all these years. I'm still here, just finally taking a moment to be home.